in the cloud. Okay, thank you so much. Hugo. So I need other voices. Let me see if there might be somebody else. Yes. Okay, we have someone else joining us. Okay. All right. So let me go back to share screen. All right. So we will have updates from DSNY and DEP, and then we will focus most of our attention on our budget this year. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to read the meeting guidelines, and I have to go out of this screen and go into the other things, and then we'll do introductions, attendance, review of previous minutes, and the follow-up from anything from the past. I have one issue that I'll take up, so let me just stop share and open up the other screen so we can do the attendance. Okay. Takes a little bit. I have an old computer. Can everyone see this screen? No? Okay, can everyone see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm going to take attendance. Betty Arce, present. Helene Hartman-Kanowski,
Present.
Gwendolyn Thomas-Steed,
Present.
Jean Hill,
Present.
Rosalie Leslie. I know that I let her in. Let me just check and see.
No. Present, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Hugo Gonzalez,
Present.
Lowell Green. And what we don't have is the new person. I'll just leave it like that. I think his name is Carlos. Okay, so we have attendance. I don't think that we're going to be doing any motions tonight, but I don't have any unless anyone else has in mind, but we'll take that under advisement when we get to that. Okay, so let me stop share there. Okay. And let me go back to so I'm going to now read the meeting guidelines. I prefer to do it the other way. Stop share and go to that. As you can see, we are on this roller coaster of we are Zoom, we are not. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of so I'm required to read these guidelines. Can you see this? No, right? What's that? You can see this right now?
Yes.
Committee guidelines. Okay, good evening, everyone.
Yes.
I am Betty Arce, Chair of the Environmental and Sanitation Committee, and this is Bronx Community Board 7's Environmental and Sanitation Committee. The committee agenda is as follows, which I've read earlier: meeting guide, introductions, review of previous minutes, any follow-up and new business, which is updates from Department of Sanitation and Department of Environmental Protection, as well as a review of our capital and expense budget. On September 2nd, 2021, Governor Kathy Hochul signed into law Chapter 417 of the laws of 2021, which authorizes the community board to run this meeting remotely. The minutes will be taken for record keeping. The minutes will appear on our website within days and can be requested from Bronx Community Board 7 staff at any time. If you are calling into the meeting on the conference, controls while joining from landline or cell by calling dial-up number. To hear all available commands, enter ** on your phone, *6 to mute or unmute yourself, *9 to virtually raise your hand. There is a code of conduct. Bronx Community Board 7 has a right to remove or ask a member of the public to leave a meeting or block participation of anyone who engages in inappropriate conduct, including but not limited to obscene or offensive images or language, personal attacks, threats, or any other behavior that reasonably impedes the orderly administration of the meeting. Repeated offenses will be reviewed by the board's executive committee or any other assigned committee for a ban. The amount of time to be objectively determined by these committees of the participant in the event of repeated disruptive behavior. If the person's outbursts or attacks continue, this will be considered disturbing the peace and the authorities shall be summoned. That is if it's in person. Everyone besides the speaker or presenter will stay muted throughout the meeting. After each presentation is over, I will inquire if committee members have questions. Committee members will signify that they have a question by pressing the raise hand button on your screen on Zoom, or request to speak to the chat or when the chair opens the floor. Members of the public who have joined through the online link will be able to ask questions and make a brief statement on the item after each presentation and after the committee has had an opportunity to ask clarifying questions by pressing the raise hand button again on your screen, or request to speak to the chat or when the chair opens the floor. Only those recognized by the chair of the committee will be allowed to speak during the allotted time. We will stay on topic with the agenda items. Any other items will be acknowledged by the chair in new business or addressed at the next meeting, granted there is time and the committee agrees on the topic. Following the questions, discussion, and public comments portion, the committee will begin the discussions after each presentation or agenda item will conclude with the decision to vote on a recommendation if that is appropriate. When the meeting is finished, the meeting will be adjourned. If there are any questions related to the meeting software or to our process, please use the chat function or raise hand function now or contact the district manager. Okay, and I will take that out and go back to share screen. So we have our minutes. So what we're going to do now is review the previous minutes. I will bring those up. Okay. Can you see the minutes?
Yep.
Yep, okay. So at our September 6th meeting, we had updates from DEP, a pilot program on rainfall ready New York City, homeowners guide to rain event preparedness, a discussion on running hydrants and flooding from clogged catch basins and drains, including procedures to request spray caps from FDNY. We didn't come to any conclusions. It was just a discussion on basically the pros and cons of running hydrants and the issues that we have with flooding. And that was about it. Anyone have any questions related to the minutes? Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Anyone second?
Second.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, thank you very much. Attendance wise, everyone is clear. Jean Hill, you were excused, right? So I want to make sure that,
Yes, I was excused.
okay, very good. Okay, fine. So then I'll close this out. Okay. And can you see the minutes? I mean, today's agenda? Can you see the agenda is still up?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna open up I just wanted to bring up something from the previous month. It really, and it wasn't even at the meeting. This is for Steve. I had a question from a committee member regarding if schools follow the same collection schedule that residents do. So, you know, if it's a Thursday, does school garbage get picked up on that Thursday? Or is there a different schedule?
So schools get a ton of collection service, a lot more than residents do. Their regular garbage gets picked up on the household frequency. So their regular garbage will get picked up with the rest of the homes in the neighborhood. But they get additional recycling service. So their paper is set out on certain days, and metal, glass, and plastic is set out on certain days. If you could give me the exact school, I could get a copy of the collection schedule and send it over to you.
Okay, I'll send you the information. I mean, it was as a school that is on the same block as where the committee member lives, and she was curious about that. And I just, and you just clarified something for me, because the school around the corner from my home, I noticed that they put out recyclables on days that we don't have it. It's usually like a Friday, which is like, the since they don't have school on Saturday. So I'm assuming it gets picked up. Does it get picked up on Saturday? I see a lot of recycled stuff from schools in the neighborhood, and usually on a Friday.
Yeah,
So-
it's possible that they get their recycling serviced on Saturdays.
Okay, all right.
But schools generally are maxed out with service, just because of the amount of waste that they produce on a daily basis.
Okay, fine. And that was the only follow-up from the previous month's meeting. So with that said, since you're speaking, go ahead. I just wanted to let you know that I threw this in about Talk Trash, because I thought it was kind of interesting that they're doing this pilot program. I forget where it was at. I think it's in Queens or somewhere, where they're trying to get people to engage other people about disposing of the litter correctly. I don't know how well that'll go. But I don't know if you're familiar with this program. I thought it was interesting. They had that's the link. I'll put the link in the chat so people can see it. It was it had a very interesting touch to it. I was hoping that maybe you might, if you knew anything about it at all.
So we've actually, we're running pilots all over the city.
Mhm.
A lot has, I'm not going to say change, but we have a lot of updates to provide since the last time that we had spoke. I believe the last meeting that I attended was probably right before the summer break. So I'm not all that familiar with that initiative in particular, and that pilot in particular. Out in Queens, I'll get more information on it. I could report back and let you know what's going on with that. Although I will say, generally speaking, we've really been pushing our message on social media. If you happen to follow us on Instagram or Twitter or some of the other social media platforms, you'll notice that we have some really entertaining videos that we've been
I
putting out.
know. I follow on Facebook, very funny stuff that goes on. It's good. It's lighthearted. I think some people don't get it, that you don't have to be that serious about it. But you're getting the message across, but it's good. I like it.
Yeah, as long as we get people to talk about it, we've
Right.
we've done our job. Especially with Scrappy, we rolled out with Queens composting, curbside composting for all residents. So Scrappy's been all over Queens promoting the program, and illegal dumping. So as you all know, we have a real serious problem with illegal dumping all over the city. And although DSMY always does great work, I think it's just more now that we're showcasing the work that we do, especially with all the folks that are being caught illegally dumping. And that in part is because we allow council members to now purchase surveillance cameras through the cleanup initiative, which I believe we spoke about that in the past. So those cameras are proving to be very effective. And as we catch illegal dumpers, we shame them on our social media. So in addition to having their vehicle impounded and having to pay a fine starting at $4,000 and going upwards of $20,000, they're also shamed on social media.
Right.
So hopefully they don't do it again. But while we're talking about pilot programs, I do want to mention the Clean Curbs pilot program. So essentially that's a containerized pilot, which we're doing one in each borough. So we're going to be doing some commercial containerized collection, some residential containerized collection. We haven't exactly figured out what we're doing in the Bronx just yet, although we do have some, we do have something in the works. I'll say that. I can't tell you exactly what it is just yet because nothing is official, but it's a step in the right direction. Garbage on the curb not only takes up sidewalk space, but as we know, it's unsightly. It attracts unwanted visitors like the rats and the rodents. And, it takes up sidewalk space as well. So folks have to walk around it. It smells. It's just if we could get as much garbage into containers and off the curb, as possible. Definitely the way of the future. So as soon as I know exactly what we're going to be rolling out in the Bronx, I will absolutely let all of you know. I can't necessarily say that it's going to be happening in Bronx Community Board 7, but nonetheless, it will happen somewhere in the Bronx.
Okay, cool.
Another pilot that we have,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, Betty,
No, go ahead, go ahead.
is our on holiday collection service.
Yeah,
Mhm.
very happy about that.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks are happy about it. We started on Labor Day. That was the first holiday that we did on holiday service. It was very successful. A lot of people were happy to see that their garbage was picked up on the day of instead of sitting out there till the following day or a couple days afterwards as we played catch up. So now that's what we've been doing. So hopefully we continue to do it. I'm not sure what Election Day and Veterans Day are going to look like just yet. We haven't announced if we're going to be continuing the pilot on those days, but as soon as I know, again, I will let all of you know. But I hope that everyone's garbage, if you had a Monday collection, was serviced yesterday. I have Monday collection and my garbage was serviced. My neighbors usually follow my lead. So I put it out and the sanitation workers came yesterday and collected it. So I looked like a hero. That's always a good thing.
You know,
Um,
just before you continue, well, on that social media page, on DSNY's Facebook page, there were some comments from people saying, oh, you know, all these sanitation workers should be home with their families enjoying a holiday. And it's like, give me a break. I mean, it's like some of them, anyway, that was one of the things that I saw, but it was, I'm glad that we're getting this picked up. Thank you.
Yeah, it's always the most entertaining part of any social media post is the comments, right? So you're always going to have people that either support what we're doing or don't. But yeah, it is nice to have a day off for sure. But at the same time, it is nice to serve the public and make sure that everybody's garbage is picked up as quickly as possible and it's not sitting out there rotting and, upsetting the folks in the neighborhood. So hopefully we continue to do the on holiday collection.
Great. Thank you.
And while we're talking about unsightliness and curb lines, we should also talk about alternate side parking, which is back in effect twice weekly. That happened over the summer. I don't think we had the opportunity to discuss it, but let's just remember that although we're back to twice weekly, we really still need folks to move their cars for ASP. If we have non-compliance, as you all know, and we've discussed many times in the past, we can't get to the curb line. If we can't get to the curb line and clean it, the onus falls on the residents and the business owners to clean 18 inches out into the street. So if they're not doing it and we can't get the broom down the street because folks don't move or are double parked and we can't do our job effectively, ultimately the residents and the businesses are responsible and the folks on the street are going to be the ones to really have to step up to the plate to get the area clean. So I think it's just easier to move the car twice a week and let us do our thing. That being said, residents of businesses, they're still responsible. So if an enforcement agent or an officer was to come down the street and see the litter on the sidewalk area, curb line, they could still get a ticket. But I think if you allow us to do our job twice a week, that really does help as a supplemental cleaning.
I totally agree. It upsets me when I see people sweeping their sidewalk, but sweeping all the trash into the street because that's the day that the broom is going to come down the block. And it's like I sometimes have to remind my neighbors, no, we're supposed to clean that up ourselves, and it's very frustrating. I think we're going to have at some point have a discussion about what we do about educating people about the right way of doing this, and that includes both commercial and residential property owners as well.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the businesses go, we could do residential and commercial outreach, but residential outreach is a much taller order than commercial is, just because there are less businesses than there are residential homes, and we could go to a particular commercial corridor that we're having issues with, and we could pop into the businesses which are, we know that they're going to be there. Residents are either at work or at school, so if you knock on the door, you don't always have somebody answer. But businesses, if we go during business hours, we could speak to the business owner or to the manager. Sometimes they really don't know. what the rules are. Other times they do, and they just choose to ignore them. But at least we could go in there and we could educate them. We could give them some information and flyers. This way they could reference it.
Okay.
Mhm.
It just happens to be that Helene has a question about a pilot. Go ahead, Helene.
Yeah, actually, well, two questions. I'll try to be brief. I was in Washington, D.C. a couple of weeks ago, and I was amazed at how spotless the town is. And one thing I noticed is they have garbage pails everywhere, but next to the regular garbage, they have the blue recycling bins.
Mhm.
And, I thought about like a business district like Bainbridge Avenue in the Bronx. Has anyone done like a trial where we put out the recycling for the plastic and see if it really does make a difference? Because I know one thing that you guys might say is somebody's got to come and clean it up and pick it up. My guess is that if we had bottles and cans, people would be taking them anyway, and they would be making money on it, which I don't have any problem with. But I thought it could be a win for the community as well as the residents that are really struggling. Has this come up before, and what do you guys think?
Yep. So you were breaking up a little bit, but I'm pretty sure that I got the gist of the question, right? So when you were in DC, you had noticed that they have the recycling receptacles next to the corner litter baskets for collection by the public, right? Okay. So we do have that here in New York City. But the issue is that, so right now we have more litter basket service than we've ever had before. But those litter baskets are serviced with basically anything that goes into that litter basket is going into the truck, right? So if we were to have the recycling bins all over on every corner, that means that we would have to service those with recycling trucks. So as of right now, we don't have the bandwidth to expand that and put out more recycling bins, just because of the fact that that would have to increase the amount of staff that we have, the amount of trucks that we have to increase those pickups for the corner recycling baskets. But this has come up in the past. It's actually a question that's asked quite often. But O'Shea had a better answer for you, but that's what it is.
I guess my point was, and I won't belabor, is that if we did a trial, like in a small area, let's say our Bainbridge Avenue, my guess is that even if people throw out the bottles, that someone else is going to come in and empty it. So emptying it might not be as big an issue. Now, maybe it doesn't work for the whole city, but I suspect, because we know that it happens in the local neighborhoods. People are always looking at our recycling and going through it in my building. I guess that's not enough of just something that might help to cut down on the waste, really. I don't know. I just want to throw it out there. I know we're not going to get an answer tonight. Just that we're looking for the budget, I thought you would be asking for maybe some capital for it. Okay. And then the last thing I want to ask is, and I know it's very old news. You had a print shop years ago. You made your signs, right?
Yep.
And we had those wonderful, wonderful comic books. Is there any hope or chance that we could get those back, that we should ask for? I mean, which way are we moving?
So we no longer have the comic books. Those were discontinued, but we do have coloring books. We have these really great coloring books that the last page of the book is, it's a collection truck that you could take out and you build it, and it becomes like a 3D model of a collection truck. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good. But I don't know, Betty, if we have any. We should probably, can we get some?
We'll have to see, because remember, we don't have an office.
That's true.
So what happened in the past is stuff was sent to my house, and I had about 25 boxes of CB7 stuff that then ended up going back to the office and then got wet. during all these storms. But we can discuss it. We'll put that down as some of the things. But going to your question about printing, other than the coloring books, does DSNY still print out other stuff?
Right. Who makes up the signs that we do see? Other
So,
than, yeah,
okay, so just to talk about the coloring books real quick, just so you know, I can send you the coloring book. So that's easy. Once we have a place to send them to, that's just a quick email or a phone call, and I'll get those out to you.
Okay, I'll deal with that. I'll deal with that. And then we have to decide how do we distribute it, Colleen,
Mhm.
okay? We have to
Yeah.
figure out where this is going to be distributed. So I don't want to have stuff that we then don't have ways of distributing it, you know? So we'll need to discuss that. Okay?
even the schools, we want to educate the kids.
I don't want to be just sending stuff to schools. If we can do that, we can just have DSNY send it to the schools directly, you know?
Yeah.
But
I will too.
it needs to be done with some kind of, I'm sorry, I'm admitting people into me. With a context and some, you know, way of explaining it. So I'm not gonna go into every school in our community board with these pamphlets when DSNY can do that, but
Mhm.
we need to have a different kind of venue for this. But, you know, we will discuss it and I don't just,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out. Thank you. That's helpful. Okay.
So as for the signs,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so we did have a sign shop,
Oh, yeah.
but the sign shop closed a while back. So at this point, we do not manufacture and install signs. The only time you're going to see a DSNY sign out there that says no dumping is in an area that we have a surveillance camera. So if we have a surveillance camera, the sign will be posted. I'm not sure exactly what it says, but something along the lines of,
We're watching you.
yeah, and illegal dumping fine start at $4,000. It's illegal. So,
Okay.
So if you happen to see those signs, there is a camera in the area.
Okay. Hopefully someone is looking at it.
So they can
are.
say that, right, that they were warned.
So
That's
with the cameras, the nice thing about the cameras that we use is that not only are they a camera, but they're also a license plate reader as well.
Oh, great.
So, yep, so we capture the license plate and we actually watch this happening. You know, we do see it in real time, but we don't necessarily have to catch them in the act of with the illegal dumping because we have them on video and we have the license plate. That's enough for us to move forward then with the impound and
great.
taking action.
That goes to I sent you an email this morning about some garbage that was on the corner of 204th and Hull. And yeah, and I sent the picture and it had an Amazon box with an address on it up in, I think it was Harrison, New York. I don't know if that was the person who dumped, but there was all this household trash. So I don't know how to follow up with that one. Yeah.
Okay, I have to look for the email, but when it comes to illegal dumping, if we catch them on one of our cameras with the license plate reader, or if we have a witness that's willing to sign an affidavit, we could use that to move forward.
Got it.
When it comes to improper disposal, so like you were able to go through the bag, you were able to find the Amazon box
The
with
box was
the,
right there. The box was right there. I mean, I said, oh, wow, look, an Amazon box with an address on it. And I just took a picture of it and sent it to you with the, you know, it was in the midst of all this garbage on the corner, not in the corner bin. It was at the lamppost or whatever. Yeah, sort of like to the.
well, in a situation like that, an officer, a sanitation officer or agent would actually have to observe that. We can't use the picture of, they would have to see it in order to follow up with the violation.
Okay.
I know, sometimes it gets a little murky, you know,
No,
the
no,
difference
understood.
between,
Because it could have been a box that could have been picked up someplace else. I totally understand. It's the same thing with the dog poop stuff. I totally understand it, you know, so. I mean, I just threw it out there just in case it was something. So I'll leave it at that, but hopefully it gets picked up because it was close enough to the corner garbage that hopefully when the truck comes by, they'll take it. I hope they take it as well.
so that was 204 in Hull?
Yeah.
Okay, if they don't grab it on the, they should grab it on the midnight to 8, because we have a basket truck going out midnight to 8.
Okay.
If you happen to notice that it's still there in the morning, just shoot me out an email, and let me know. We'll get it picked up, but they should grab it on the midnight to 8.
Okay. All right. So
Okay.
AJ, you're saying that you saw pictures, but you need to make a report. There is a report that you have to make in order to get some kind of response. Correct, Steve? There is in order, AJ says that he said he did, Miss Carla and the board, I did with Miss Carla, he said he had pics that had a license plate and photos of the dump. This, he said, the Stag truck, Stag is one of our developers in the neighborhood, that the Stag truck was dumping on the parkway. Pictures to the board of a Stag truck dumping on the parkway. Pics had license
Wow.
plates and photos of the dump and all.
Wow.
Okay, there's no, I'm trying to just read it in the chat, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you did witness that, you would have to fill out an illegal dumping affidavit. So the pictures and the video are great, but we need you to attest
Okay,
to the
he
fact
says-
that you actually witnessed it.
Do it, AJ. You'll get money for that.
Yeah, you're eligible to collect half of the fine that the illegal dumper has to pay. So again, fine started at $4,000, the first time offense, so.
Okay. All right. Let me just quickly, I just want to get, who is 3684? Is that Gwen?
That's me. Why?
Oh, I don't know
Oh.
why. I don't know why I lost you. I had renamed you and you have a question?
No, I cut off and I couldn't get back in, so I
Oh, so you went out. Okay, so but your hand is up.
raised my hand.
You raised your
Yeah,
hand.
yeah. That's the only, well, in order to get back in, that's the only way I could have done it.
Okay, all right. I'm just going to just rename you again. Just
Thank you.
Okay, no
Thank
problem.
you so much.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, anything else?
Yes, I have 2 more updates.
Go ahead.
And these are pretty quick. So we do have a safe event coming up on Saturday, October 22nd. That's going to be at Orchard Beach. And-
I have to laugh because the whole issue with the migrants.
Still happening. I've been asked several times if it's still going to take place. Yes, it is. And that's going to be the event where you could bring paint, batteries, motor oil, fluorescent bulbs, e-waste, any items that we don't take with your regular household waste you could bring there and we'll accept it. That's going to be open from 10 to 4,
Okay,
Saturday, October 22nd.
all right.
Mhm.
Okay, great.
And Betty, I know that you had already put this in the agenda, but I just want to make mention of it. We are doing leaf collection this season. So that's going to be Sunday, November 27th. And then again on Sunday, December 11th.
Mhm. Okay,
Okay. So you could put your leaves out, put them out in the brown bags, put them out in an unlined receptacle. But just get them out there. We'll take it 4 p.m. the day prior. That's the earliest you could set them out, as with your regular garbage and recycling. And while we're talking about paper bags,
are there
the-
bags available?
the community board can request the
Okay.
paper leaf bags.
Okay.
I just have to send you a link and then you would have to fill out a request. But
Okay.
we are providing to community boards, elected officials and community groups, but we're not providing them to the general public with this link. So this
Okay.
link is specifically just for elected community boards
Okay,
and
all right, so
civics.
I'll work with some of our groups that, can put them out.
Mhm.
Okay, good, thank you. Any board members have any questions? Anything that you want to raise with Steve while he's here?
I did have a question. You may mention that in the commercial areas,
Mhm.
and they can sometimes sweep the trash into the street, and that there is alternate side cleanups at least twice a week. Now on Jerome Avenue, because I live in Tracy, so Jerome Avenue, say from Gun Hill back towards Tracy, it's the dirtiest, filthiest area. I don't see anybody ever cleaning. I never see a truck going down there cleaning. Maybe they go by and clean when I'm not looking,
Mhm.
but it's always so dirty and we continually complain about it. I also don't really ever see trash receptacle bins out on the street. So do you not put any in those areas?
All right, so with litter baskets, they're a double-edged sword. So generally speaking, litter baskets only go into commercial corridors with high pedestrian traffic, right? But if litter baskets are doing their job and they're attracting litter, sometimes they attract, as you know, unwanted behavior, right, and abuse by either residents in the area or businesses in the area. We find that household trash ends up there and business trash.
Right.
If that does happen, a lot of times we remove the baskets. And that tends to stop the abuse, and the corners after time end up being cleaner than if we had the baskets there.
Okay,
Mhm.
because I know I don't see any up on the avenue there. And they're just sometimes messy because not only do you have the store vendors there, you have the street vendors out there.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
don't know how well the street vendors clean up behind themselves, but from what I see, they don't do a very good job of it. And a lot of times I'll see boxes and all sorts of paraphernalia that they use to transport their goods in.
Mhm.
And it's just left on the sidewalk, it's left near the curb, and it gets really messy. Then also you have to remember that you have a homeless shelter going toward Woodlawn, and a lot of the residents tend to walk back up toward Jerome Avenue where the vendors are up and down that corridor. So they can be messy out there also. So it's like an ongoing battle.
Yeah, the issue that we have with the street vendors is that we don't have oversight over any unlicensed vendor.
Mhm.
So it hands off. The only time that we may be able to issue them a violation is if we see them improperly disposing of their waste, just like if we were to catch anyone else doing that, and then we'd have to stop them, ask them for their ID. They would have to willingly give it to us in order for us to issue them a violation. But the DCWP, so the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection, they are the ones that have been tasked with overseeing unlicensed street vendors, and they could issue them violations. But unfortunately, there's not much that we could do when it comes to the unlicensed vendors. But what you're describing is an issue that we do see all over the city. They leave their trash behind. They don't follow the same rules as the licensed vendors, because licensed vendors are supposed to, if they're selling food, they're supposed to have a receptacle close to for the folks that are purchasing food from them to put their waste and their napkins and everything else. They're supposed to keep the area around their cart or their truck clean. So there's a lot more regulations with the licensed vendors than with the unlicensed.
Is
I
that,
noticed the difference because when they have the night market over there on Fordham, and they keep that area clean. And there's all sorts of food and all sorts of things over there. But I know going down Jerome Avenue, it's a completely different issue. So those are licensed vendors who'll be at the night market, and everybody just be up and down Jerome.
would that be under consumer affairs, or is that a DSNY issue?
On Jerome?
The issue of licensed, unlicensed vendors, that whole dynamic.
Yeah, there was a lot of discussion about that over the past couple of years. And PD had oversight, I believe. Don't hold me to this. I think PD was responsible at one point for the vendors, and then now they're no longer responsible. It's DCWP with unlicensed. And for sanitation issues, if it's a licensed vendor, we could take action.
All right,
But again,
let's just move on because it's getting late. I just went really quick on something that Jean touched. Between 8 and 8:30 on most commercial streets, the broom comes down, right? And cars are supposed to move. Half of them don't, most of them do. Is that the same time for in every area? Because they come down every day, including Saturday. Do they come down Saturday as well? The broom on commercial streets?
yeah,
right?
metered parking is typically Monday through Saturday.
Okay. So I think that sometimes people get the confusion when they hear alternate site is suspended. I think they think, maybe they want to think, that that also includes that half hour where they're supposed to vacate, not be parked while the broom comes down. And I think they get surprised when the broom is right behind them and they're parked in their car and they have to move over, or they don't move at all, That half hour is kind of short and for a broom to come down a wide swath of a commercial area, don't you think? Right? Then they double back and they have to come back on the other side of the street.
So as a former mechanical broom operator, in a past life, I did drive the mechanical broom. If folks do move out of the way like they're supposed to, yeah, you could actually get through your route in the 30 minutes with the meters. When folks don't move, obviously you're stopping, you're beeping, you're trying to go around them. That takes up a lot of time, and you're really struggling to get through the route and make sure that it's complete within the half hour. I would have people tell me, oh, but alternate side is on Wednesdays and Saturdays. A lot of times when alternate side is suspended, they would say, oh, but alternate side is suspended today.
Right,
I said, I
right.
guess you didn't listen to the second part of the message. Alternate side is suspended, but meter rules are still in effect. But yeah, I agree. A lot of folks are probably just confused about the messaging.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
Anyone else have any questions or concerns? We'll have to take that up, Gene, about, I know that's been an issue on Jerome with the licensed, unlicensed vendors. I don't know how we'll address that. We'll have to.
We've
take
tried
that.
everything. We've even had meetings with the previous city council for the area, Mr. Cohen. And he invited them all to a meeting, and he had all of the agency people come in, and he tried to work out a positive plan for everybody. And only 2 store merchants ever showed up, and nobody else showed up. So
Maybe we have to bring in the bid, and see what we can do with that. I don't know, we'll have.
I don't know. We keep trying stuff, maybe something will stick one day.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right, thank you. Anything else, Steve?
No, that's it from my end.
Thank you so much. Very, very helpful. That's great. It's wonderful. Let's move on. We've got Effie waiting in the wings.
Oh, no problem.
You sent a presentation that I'm going to put up, okay?
It's not a presentation. We discussed rainfall already last month, so we have the brochure.
Okay.
And I just wanted to show that and another initiative that we have.
Okay, let me find it. Okay, this is not it. I have to go find it first, and then you have. While I'm doing that, is there any other than that? Is there anything else that you're going to present or?
So just a couple of updates. We had a water main break last week on East Marshall Parkway between 205th and Lisbon Place. And I was sending updates to the board on that. I did send the community board also the list of capital projects for your specific community board, which includes green infrastructure projects, sewer related projects, and so forth. It's basically the DDC map with all the information on there, okay? Just specific for your board. And you guys can review that. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Here's the
Right.
brochure.
So that's one of them. That is the WAIT program. So what is WAIT? When we do laundry or we shower or we wash dishes, even flush the toilet, the water we use goes down the drain and into the sewer. But when there's a heavy rainstorm, that wastewater has to share the sewer with lots of rainwater. So on those days, our sewers can fill to capacity, and a mix of wastewater and rainwater can end up in our waterways. And waiting to use water during a heavy rainstorm helps to keep our waterways clean, for the community and the wildlife. So how does this app work? When there's a heavy rainstorm, DEP will send you a free text, so you know when to wait, and we'll send another text when it's all clear. It's a completely voluntary program, and you will only receive alerts when you get those really big, intense downpours.
Hmm.
And you can opt out at any time from the program. So the ways you wait is, you receive a text to wait, and you can help by doing your laundry later, taking a shorter shower, delaying dishwashing, things like that. Now, so that's the first two were the wait program. Okay. And then you go to the bottom two, right, which was the Rainfall Ready Homeowners Guide,
Oh, okay, got it, all right.
which we discussed last meeting,
Right.
but I don't think I had pulled this up for you. So I
Right.
wanted to pull it up. And if you go to the last page down there, that's the important page. I'm not sure if anybody can actually see it well. We do have these brochures in the office. If you need some dropped off somewhere, let me know. But they are available online as well. The
And I'll
link
send
is-
this out to the board and have the board send it to all board members and put it on our social media page that people.
Oh,
can download.
sure, yeah. So this is, Rainfall Ready came about this summer from the mayor's office. And, basically New York City's sewer system, which I wanted to talk about, with the heavy rainfall, our sewer system is generally well designed for the kind of regular rainstorms we experience. But we're getting a lot of these more intense rainstorms, and our sewers get overtaxed. So you as a property owner, we are responsible for our sewers, our infrastructure, but you as a property owner are also responsible for your property. So this brochure gives you some information if you have a catch basin or a drain on your property, which a lot of properties do, but sometimes owners don't realize that you have to maintain the drains, because if you do not, it creates ponding and flooding on your property. Another thing is keeping the grease out of the sewers, which we've discussed in other meetings. Grease down the drain, prompts sewer backups on your infrastructure and ours as well. So not dumping grease down the drain is a biggie. Also, instead of putting gray, you put more green, right? So grass instead of cement. Installing proper roof drainage is also important, right? And also, what would you put at the bottom of that roof drain? A rain barrel, which we've been giving them out again this summer. We were in hiatus during the COVID time, but this summer we started again giving out rain barrels. Those are pretty good as well to collect the stormwater runoff from your roof drains. Installing a backwater valve can be really helpful for a building, prevents sewer water from backing into your home through your basement plumbing fixtures. So this is basically, I think we talked about it last time, and I just wanted to show it to you. And like I said, I'm willing to drop off, some of the brochures if you'd like some, wherever you'd like me to bring them.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll talk to you, because if we are having our general board meeting in person, then we could have it at a table,
No problem.
I'm
I'll
thinking-
coordinate it with Carla, or,
Yeah,
whatever you like.
I mean, that is the way you are. Go ahead.
Another thing before we move on, these past 2 weeks, we've been really busy on giving out rain barriers.
Oh, I picked
That's
them up. I picked them up from the councilman's office.
From the council member's office, correct. So we've been giving them out. We have them in our yard in Jamaica, Queens, and we've been giving them out to basically the elected officials to give them out to their constituents.
Yeah.
So yes, I noticed, actually Councilmember Dinowitz's office was one of the first offices to come and get them, and they have them in their office available, I believe, for distribution
Yes.
to any of their constituents that are interested. So once again, that's part of the Rainfall Ready initiative that the mayor instituted, and I sent the press release all over to the community board. In addition to that, we coordinate with other city agencies, just like with Stephen and Sanitation, DP and DOT, DSNY. We inspect chronic flooding locations and we clear the debris from catch basins in at-risk locations before, the predicted storms. And it's really good that DSNY does the street sweeping because that removes a lot of the debris that eventually clogs the catch basins and then the water doesn't drain. We do tell property owners, sometimes just as an FYI, and I think I've discussed this before, sometimes when we come to the catch basins, it's just debris on top. It's clear on the inside because it's all matted over on top and the water does not drain. The property owner is responsible. We encourage them to remove the debris off the top of the basin so the water can drain before heavy rain events. So yeah, those are some of the things that we've been working on. And I know in the agenda, you actually brought up the idling complaint system for DEP. So we do have a lot of information on our website. We did tweak it a little bit, so it's a little easier to file a complaint. This summer we did that. So idling emissions from gasoline and diesel motor vehicle engines, are known contributors to health-related impacts like asthma and other respiratory issues. Idling for longer than 3 minutes or more than 1 minute while adjacent to a school is illegal. If you notice a vehicle idling illegally, you can report it with 311. Or you can file a complaint online, which is the link that Betty had on there. And the reason you would do the one online is if you want to receive an award for your enforcement efforts. And that's the Citizens Air Complaint Program. If anybody's interested or has any specific questions on that, let me know. The complaints can be made about trucks and buses.
Mr. Salt trucks, the ice cream truck.
No,
No?
so trucks that use their engine, their motor vehicle engine, to run a piece of equipment, and not limited to refrigeration, such as an ice cream truck, because I actually printed that part out. Anything that has a refrigeration truck, it has refrigeration on it, is exempt from that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you would, if you saw a refrigeration truck idling, you would have to document that the engine that moves the vehicle was on and was not just sitting there using it to run the refrigeration unit. So it's a little precise, and make sure you review that on our website. We've written it out there. Also, city and state vehicles are not subject to oath penalties. Another thing is ambulances that have life-saving equipment. Obviously, those kinds of vehicles that have life-saving equipment, refrigeration, of food and things like that. There's more specifics on that one. And then it tells you, it goes on to explain, videos are good to submit as evidence, or pictures that are time and date stamped. So just an FYI.
Just a comment on the rainfall readiness. It's a shame that a lot of our 1 and 2 family homes in the neighborhood have chosen to cement their lawns, so-called lawns, because it's more expedient. They don't want to deal with grass or foliage.
Parking is also
and creating parking pads. Yes. So it's sad that that's happening in a lot of the neighborhoods. Anyone have any questions, comments for Effie on any of
Yeah,
this?
Effie, how does that drainage program, how does that work with Department of Buildings, the buildings, large buildings like mine, or is it only for homeowners? And then
I'm sorry,
also and I was
you
saying,
got
like,
cut off in the part, sorry.
I live in an apartment building. So how does the drainage program work for an apartment building? And also my second quick question is along Marshall Parkway, which we know tends to flood when it's a
Mhm.
very heavy rain. And part of that is the leaves get stuck down into the drainage holes, but it seems to keep flooding. So is there any sort of recommendation or program that could be set up for that? Because we keep having that flooding on the parkway. And then the first part is for apartment buildings. Is there any sort of program that you have to cut back on wasting water? Should we, when it's a heavy rain, also turn the water off and not be washing dishes or taking shower? Does it work for the apartment buildings as well?
Correct. It works for everybody. Anybody who's interested can go on the app. You would download the app, the Wait app, and it helps. Everything helps. So I wouldn't say because you're in the building, don't do it. Absolutely. We're trying to get the message out. We don't ask if you live in a building or house, wherever it is, go for it. So that's a very important program. And
Good question.
Yeah.
Especially because Tracy Towers is so tall, you know, a lot of.
Yeah, but everything helps. Everything helps. So it's less going into the system at the time. So, if it's one person doing it or 50 people doing it, it helps. It's less going into the system at a critical time. Another thing that the homeowners guide that was just up is typically for homeowners or 3-family homes, something like that. But the part about the installing the backwater valve to prevent risk of flooding your property, that's for buildings. That can be something that buildings can look into. So there's certain things you can look into, even condos. It depends. This is something we share with everybody, and you can see how you fit in, to help your property. You know your property best, whether it's a building or 1-family home or 5-family home. Everybody's is different, and you could see how you can better improve the runoff that comes off your property.
Okay.
So Jean, that's something that maybe with your tenants association, we can get you copies of the weight pamphlet, and maybe you could share that with the residents.
Yeah, I would definitely want to do that, because
Yeah.
remember when we had the drought at one time and they had to come through the building and put valves on the showers in particular so that you wouldn't waste water. So I take it to be it's the same type of an idea. Cut back on using water like that, because I know I have grandkids. They'll go in there and the water will be on in the shower for an hour, and I'm thinking, what the heck are you in there doing? But to me, that's just a waste of a lot of water. So if you're having a big flood outside, then you know what? Then you should cut back on that water.
So Jean, you will get to you, especially for your organization, for the building, is to get you some of those pamphlets and information so that you can share that at your next tenants.
Yeah, definitely. If we have, like you said, in-person meeting for the general meeting, if we have them there, I'll just take them.
Okay, great. Okay, so Effie will work in getting that stuff before our general meeting. So that
Just remember, the WAIT program is for when you have those intense storms.
Understood. Yes, understood.
That's
Yes.
not just every day, anytime. It's
Yeah.
meant for those really intense storms.
Unfortunately, those rains are coming faster and closer together.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, great. All right. Any other questions? Any other comments? Because we need to move on, at least to go through our budget requests. And there might have been some things coming from the discussion with DSNY and DEP that may be things we want to throw into our budget request. We'll have to look at that as long as it's appropriate for that. Remember, there are things in the budget that what we're looking at are capital expense items I remember, the city will always come back and say, we don't have money, go talk to your council person. So there are some things that we will be able to, or should be able to do it through our elected officials. And then there are things that we would want to include and make sure that they're there for the long haul and try to get some money, like maybe more staff for DSNY to do some of the things that we've been talking about. I mean, basically a lot of what we're asking for is people power, staffing our agencies a little more robustly, so to speak, so that they can do the things that we'd like them to do. So with that said, I want to thank Steve and Effie, and we're going to move on with our budget agenda item. Okay, I'm going to bring up one more time. I'll bring up the what we did. Did everyone get to see the what I had sent everyone? I sent everyone the what we had been discussing, our budget priorities for the last year or so. And again, the response has always been, we don't have money, we can't do it. Let me share. Here it is. Okay. So this is what I extracted from our little wheel is wheeling about. I extracted from our budget request, those things related to sanitation, DEP, whatever, this is what we have. Let me see if I can expand it a little more. Okay. Oh, let me take down this item here. All right. So this is what we have. And the language, if you notice where it says requests for each one, that is very specific language. And I also sent you the actual reference guide because it has to fit into the categories set up by the Office of Management and Budget. So these are our items, and I wanted to find out if this is something that we still want to keep, take out, refine. I need your feedback if you think we should keep it. If you look at the last column, that is the response from OMB. So it'll be further study. As an example, evaluate a public location or property for green infrastructure, rain garden, stormwater, green streets, green playgrounds. So we put in addition to repairing catch basins, the continuous flooding after storms on both Bainbridge Avenue, Decatur, and Van Cortlandt needs to be addressed. And then the answer is further study by the agency if this request is needed. Therefore, OMB does not take any position. So, Effie, are you still on with us?
Of course, yeah.
So is this language make sense, or do we need to do something else? Is it repairing catch basins, or is it cleaning? Some of these catch basins seem like they really need like a deep cleaning. It's not just, they have to go in there and really extract whatever stuff is down there that's, causing the, whether it's Marshalloo or Bainbridge or wherever it is, over flooding. I noticed that the last rain, and it wasn't like a heavy rain, right up to 4th and Decatur, there is a catch basin. And this is one that Sirio had cleaned up some stuff that had some glass in it. It over flooded over the sidewalk, which had been happening more often there. And I noticed that there's a lot of debris that gets caught up into that catch basin. So all I'm saying is, do we need to say this differently?
So we do green infrastructure. We've implemented green infrastructure, whether it's rain gardens or impervious pavement throughout the city. And Community Board 7 does have green infrastructure. When there's NYCHA projects coming up, we try to put it in there. If there's parks projects coming up, capital improvements, we do add it there as well. So green infrastructure, we already are doing that. If it's more personnel that you think we could use to clean out the existing catch basins, that's a whole other story. So it depends how you want to word it. you know, because they are a little bit different. The request is a little different than the explanation,
Right,
right?
right.
So that's the other thing. So you really, they both look like requests, frankly.
So, I mean, we were looking for, where do we fit in things like, I mean, this is Green Street, but it doesn't address the issue of streets that are not on parkways. So when we're talking about Bainbridge and Decatur and Van Cortlandt, these are not, we're not near, there is no green infrastructure. You can't, I don't know if you can put in green infrastructure on East 204th Street, let's say, or on Bainbridge. So that really is a way, maybe I need to go back and look for a category to fit in what we want, which is we want the catch basins cleaned up, deep cleaning,
Right.
Whatever. That's basically what we're saying.
Well, it's servicing, having the agency service the catch basins more frequently,
Right. Okay,
um,
that makes sense.
something like that. And you can add your locations, which tend to be problematic. We are aware of it. Mashalu Parkway, we are aware of it. With the leaves, especially during the fall, that's a big issue there. So definitely,
Well,
if
is
you
it-
wanted to get around. Mhm.
Right, so would it be asking for more staffing or just putting in more servicing with, just leaving it as, you know, we need these catch basins serviced more frequently?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right, okay. All right, so that's number 25. Okay, very good, thank you. The next one is increase enforcement of dirty sidewalks, dirty area, failure to clean area laws. So we put in, we need an increase in sanitation enforcement to improve the quality of our commercial corridors. And this goes also to the point that Jean raised, you know, Jerome Avenue is included, all our commercial and shopping areas. It says the agency has stated they will try to accommodate this request with existing resources. OMB supports this. So we will continue to keep this in there because we need to make sure that that's done. Steve, do you have any comments on that?
Nope, I agree. That should stay there.
Good.
Mhm.
Okay, good, okay. Increase enforcement of canine waste laws. I understand this, I'm a dog owner, you know, I'm totally clear, but this is something that we know it has to be an observable, right? Someone has to observe it, and it can't be me or Jean or Helene or whoever. It has to be an official, right? A sanitation official has to see this happening. So you know, we can do what we said here, an increase in enforcement, public education would be helpful. And then it says due to fiscal constraints, the availability of funds is uncertain. So maybe this is something is maybe we could ask our elected officials to come up with some money to create, I don't know what, a campaign of some sort. But this is a citywide problem. This is actually a nationwide problem from what I've been looking at. You know, I have friends in other cities and other states with it. This is the same issue. I'll keep it in here, but I'm gonna see if maybe we should finesse the language somehow. I don't know. Any comments from the committee? I know that, okay.
I don't know, we could probably give out more. Giving out the, asking people to pick up the waste and giving away the doggy or waste pickup bags. Maybe we can try that again.
We could, I mean, we've also, there've been requests to put canine disposal bag receptacles along the parkways, whatever. But as I think we mentioned last time around, when those bags are put in, they are just taken right out and people just take them home and use them, if they use them at all, for their own personal use with their own animals and not see it that they should remain there for others to use. Anyway, I have totally given up on this one. People have a lot of, if you even approach someone, what I normally do is I will say to someone, do you need a bag? Because I always carry extra bags. Sometimes people will take them and they're sort of somewhat shamed into picking up after a dog that they weren't planning to pick up after. And sometimes they get very nasty, you know, so it's
Yeah.
very difficult thing to deal with. People get really very nasty. I had a guy who had 4 dogs, he was walking, and very clearly he wasn't picking up after his dog. And I said, do you need a bag? And, you know, you should be cleaning up. And he said, no, you can do it for me. In a really, you know,
Real nasty.
yeah, so
Oh,
I just let them,
oh.
you know, so anyway.
Unbelievable.
I'll keep it
Insulting.
there. I'll make, someone want to, is that someone?
I just wanted to mention, when we did have the bags, it was much easier to approach people because they saw we were giving them something nice that was free, and usually they were much more agreeable.
But it's usually people who do this anyway, Helene. I'm talking about people who are chronically not doing it, and you don't know when it's happening because you just step out of your house or get out of a car and it's right in front of you. So it's not, to me, it's not the people who pick up these, who take them from us. It's people who just don't do it. One big problem is a lot of parents send their kids out to walk the dog. And I don't know of any kid that will pick up after a dog.
No, they're not gonna do it.
They're not gonna do that. That to them is the yuckiest thing that they would, I mean, they won't do it. I see them. They will not pick up after their dog. But
When-
parents send the kid out,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, we're not going to get everyone, but in terms of approaching someone, you don't want to put yourself at risk to do it either.
Absolutely, no, absolutely. Like I said, I will always offer a bag. And on the rare occasion, someone will actually say, do you have an extra bag? I've run out. You know, the dog took another
That's
poop
good.
when I didn't expect it. And that's wonderful. And I have no problem with that. But I'm just saying that it's just something that we'll keep it in here, but it's really an education issue. This is really educating people. Enforcement is really an increase in enforcement because there is no enforcement at all. You know, they just can't happen, you know. And it's
No,
not,
because
it's,
there's so
you know,
much going on that they don't have time. But what I tend to do is I find that people, when you have that little bag case with the little pickup bags in it, people were pretty happy to get those because I would just walk around the building and hand them out to people with a dog. I said, oh, you have a puppy. Oh, would you like one of these? They
that's
always
fine.
took them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, they always took 'em.
once that bag is empty, I
Yeah.
don't know, they go out and buy bags or not.
No,
That's my-
they probably don't, Betty. They probably don't.
So all I'm saying is it's a very short term, and I really want to look at long
Something
term
long term.
changes. Those are short term and they can be done. We don't have to put anything in here. It's really, when we talk about increasement of enforcement, I really want to change this just basically to what we're saying in our explanation, which is we need to develop, but I have to find a category for that. I mean, I'll leave it in there like that, but it's really public education. We really have to think about something like that, but I'll leave it in there and I'll see if I can finesse it a little bit. If not, I'll just leave it the way it is, because, you know. there's not much-
Just one other thing before we leave, I just want to mention, when we talked about the DEP issue for Marshallwood Parkway, I think Jean wanted to add that as a location. Also, will we have Bainbridge?
Oh,
'Cause
the one in the, okay, yeah,
But
okay. got
not
it.
only that, if we're going to ask for more staff, it shouldn't be under capital. Shouldn't it be a different item?
Yeah, no, again.
That's more of
this-
an expense
No, no,
item.
it is, it'll be, well, I can put it in expense, I'll have to look at it. This was looking at a capital issue, but it really is about staffing, but I think,
It's both.
put it
It's
could be
really both.
Yeah, yeah.
It is
Okay.
both.
Can we have both? Yeah,
Okay, I'll look at what categories for, and we'll put it under expense for more staffing to,
I mean, you
to
added a
service
lot
catch
of other
basins.
things.
excuse me?
Well, no, you added a lot of other things at the end that were very good too, that we'll have to fold in, I think.
Yeah, well, all it is really just servicing the catch basins. So it's really what we want, not repairing. It's really servicing the catch basins
Mhm.
along that area and then also along Marshallwood Parkway and any other area that has a chronic problem. All right, moving along. Provide or expand New York Organic Collection Program. We will continue to put this in there until we get it. You know, we'll hammer away. We know that CB8 has a full-fledged program, and parts of Queens is getting that, right? Steve, it's all of Queens?
Yeah, so it's actually all of Queens. And the way we rolled out, this was differently than the way we've done it in the past. All residents are automatically enrolled in the program. So hopefully we move forward and start expanding into the other boroughs.
Now, are they is collection on the same time that collection is for other trash? I know that when we had it in CB7, it was almost every day, which didn't make a whole lot of sense for us. And I actually arranged with the truck to just come once a week, because I was the only person on my block that was doing it, so it didn't make sense for him to come every day to pick up, my coffee grounds or whatever it was that I had in my, my bin. So is this an everyday or is it certain days of the week?
So the way we have it set up in Queens is that the composting gets picked up on recycling day. So it's once a week.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
Okay. Is that true for CB8? So they
I would have to check the collection schedule for CB8.
Okay, all right.
Mhm.
All right, so we'll keep this in here and we'll continue to, hammer away. Hopefully we will get, it says funding for this program was restored, but that's not true. It was funding for this program was restored only for certain, and we'll just, we'll just keep it in there. So we're gonna put it in expanding, the collection program for CB7 and other areas of the Bronx and throughout. I'll just continue with that. Expand opportunities for electronic waste collection and disposal. So we wanted is the e-waste, the curbside e-waste collection program, or provide access to a facility where these items may be brought for disposal. So Steve, this is like what, the computers, LED TVs, all that kind of stuff. It's being done through safe events and people can take their, can any of these items be taken to the sanitation at Hunts Point?
Yes, so we take these items at the safe events and the special household waste drop-off site. So the special household waste drop-off site is over by, in Hunts Point. So that's open every Saturday from 10 to 5. And then the last Friday of each month to accommodate for the Sabbath.
So do we want to keep this in here? Because there is a way, it says provide a facility where these items may be brought for disposal. Do we need to keep this in here? No?
Well,
Anybody have any problems removing it?
how often, can I ask, I'm glad that we're doing the safe disposal again. Is it only twice a year or is it more often? We always go, but I don't remember how often.
Yeah, it's typically twice a year. Usually we do them in the spring and the fall. But the special household waste drop-off site, that's open year round.
It's,
I mean, it would be convenient to have curbside pickup. We know that, that not everyone has a car.
yeah, I'd like it quarterly at least, the local,
Well, just so you know, and I don't want to take much more time away from you guys with this, but you can do pop-up style e-waste events if you would like to do that. So
I discussed that with the group
Okay.
that does it, and it's a little more complicated than, because we don't really have a site in
Okay.
7 where we could, because I talked with I forget the name of the group that does it, the nonprofit that does it, and it's just a little more complicated than I would like. So we're not going to do that.
Understood.
We're we're responsible for some of the stuff that doesn't get recycled or picked up or whatever, and I didn't want to do that. We don't have a large enough site. We don't have anywhere to do it that would be able to house that. And that would be just for the committee members. We would collaborate with, there's a nonprofit that kind of like sets it up, but it's very, very complicated, and there's an issue of some staffing issues and stuff like that. And I felt that we're not in the position at this point to be able to do that. So we'll leave it like that. I know that former Councilman Cohen actually did one in the Mashalou, where the Mashalou Golf Course, that Adam Sadler Park, there was one at that point, but that because it also covered his council district as well. So we were able to participate in bringing e-waste to that site, but that's not viable for us right now, so. Okay, so then on the bottom, these are things that we discuss, more enforcement of street vendors and permits to address the trash problem. We've discussed this. This seems to be like, Gwen, you had a question?
No, no.
Your hand is still up, that's why. So you need to do star,
Oh, okay,
whatever.
my fault, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Betty,
this,
I had a question.
oh, sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
I know that in my apartment building, we do have like a electronic e-waste recycling thing. Is that something that happens to all large apartment buildings now?
No, I'm not familiar with it, Hugo. What is it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, they have like a big oversized locker bin
Yeah.
that I guess the Department of Sanitation, I'm assuming, puts in, and then all of our old TVs and everything go into that locker, and it stays there until it gets full. And then I guess the super calls it in, and then it gets picked up.
That's exactly right. Steve, you want to discuss that? That's the building has to sign up for the program.
Oh,
Correct.
so
The
it's
building
not
does,
everybody. Okay.
no, the building does have to sign up for the program, but it's only buildings with a certain amount of units. I want to say 10
10.
plus. I'm
10
not
plus.
100% sure.
It's 10 plus, yeah, 10
Mhm.
plus. Mhm.
I have 871, so I guess I'm out of luck.
No,
Oh, no, you're in luck.
10 plus,
Well,
you're
I'm
in
in
luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, your super or your management has to sign up for it.
So what's
And
the program,
therefore-
Steve? What's it called?
I'm sorry, Jean, you're breaking up.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's it called? What's the program called? Digital what?
I'll get you the information. I posted it before, so I'll send you the information on the e-waste for apartment buildings.
Great, thank you.
I know that I always walk by the one in my basement, and I just stare at all the stuff that people toss out.
It's amazing what people
Kinda
toss out,
amazing.
period, anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I've
Yes.
seen, yes, anyway. But I'll send that to you, Jean. It's on the, I've sent it, we've discussed it before. And it's a good that's how it gets done. You know, we had an issue with, I think Lowell had mentioned that her superintendent.
Yeah,
had-
she has a big problem with it and she didn't know what to do, so she.
No, but you know what? It was resolved. It was not a
Okay,
big
good.
problem. They were trying to get in touch with the super. The super was not responding to the phone calls to set up the pickup.
Oh,
That
okay.
was resolved, but it was resolved. It was taken care of. Yeah. So we have that. So thank you, Hugo, for, bringing it up, because people who live in apartment buildings, I don't know, Helene, if your building is signed up for that?
Not yet, no, but I'll send me the info too and I'll explore.
Absolutely. I will send that to everyone. Okay. So that's one way in which we can deal with e-waste. And that's why, we don't really need, but there is a way in which this is being done. So did we decide that we would take out, did I say that we would take out the e-waste? Since we already have a way of dealing with the program? Expand opportunities, we've already taken care of that in some way. So can I remove this? Because we do have both access to facilities, and we do have an access to a program at least for apartment buildings. So can we take this
Yeah, if the
out?
program is in effect, then we don't need
It
that.
is,
here.
yeah, then I'm gonna remove number 27. Remove. I just really want to focus on things that we really can get done. And these are expense items. These are these are the expense items. So what I'm gonna add to the expense item is the whole issue of the catch basin, staffing. The
Right.
staff, all right?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Important.
All right, moving along, good, we can take care of that. And so then we had funding to educate the community on helping controlling and eliminating the rat population, although that is really Department of Health, and addressing poor sanitation and garbage storage in our neighborhoods, and ongoing rat control elimination, similar to a free program offered by the city a few years ago for building supers and homeowners. I don't know about that one.
Then I don't know if you still need that because they are offering the training. I mean, I guess it doesn't hurt to have it, but it is available on demand. I have sent the link to friends that have their own houses that have terrible rat problems in their community.
What are you talking about? The Rat Academy?
Yeah,
Okay, all right, so we'll take this out. And, but I'll make a notation that we have the Rat Academy presentations that are ongoing to help homeowners and other, and, you know, property owners
right.
see the connection between sanitation and clean, you know, garbage storage in our neighborhoods. I did want to raise something. I'm always walking, especially on the night of before collection, and even when it's not, I always look in if there's a, you know, I can see a building and see, you know, where they store their garbage. I look to see the difference between what I consider to be a good super that really does a good job of maintaining garbage and those that are not, and the challenges that they face, because this is like usually like one person who then has to not only separate, you know, recyclables into various bins and bags, but also try to maintain a clean area. I noticed that some supers, they lock the access to the garbages at a certain time. And then residents who want to put their garbage out end up leaving it outside a locked gate, or they have a key, have forgotten it, and put the garbage right there on the sidewalk. At one point, I was thinking I'd like to bring a superintendent or two, or someone from the union to come in and kind of like talk to us about the issue, because it's not always the superintendent who's doing this. It's sometimes, many times, it's the tenants themselves. Superintendents face a lot of challenges in trying to keep places clean. I think about well-lit, clean areas. I mean, some people are afraid to come down because they're afraid that they may encounter a rat or something like that, and are afraid to put the garbage, you know, at night, put it in, you know, go down a hallway or whatever, or an alleyway to get to the garbage cans. So there are a lot of challenges that they face all the time. And this whole thing with the Rat Academy, I think, is very helpful. I you know, if this it's a well-lit area, if residents understand that they should not bring out the garbage after a certain time, if they don't have a key, or if it's locked at a certain time, there's a reason for that. In some cases, people just walking down the street will go in and dump garbage just like they do on the sidewalk at a corner, and they just dump garbage in some alleyway or something like that.
Eddie, I think one of the biggest challenges I have here at the building is what I call the Amazon fallout.
Oh, yeah.
We order so much stuff from Amazon, and I include myself in that tally, that it's all of these boxes and containers and things from Amazon. So they're okay about putting the garbage in the bins, but now you have all of these boxes which they stack out near where the bins are, but it's on the sidewalk. And in heavy winds, I've seen those boxes drift into the traffic and into the community. And, you know, of course, I'm fighting with the building about, you all have got to do something about all of those boxes.
Shouldn't they be containerizing a lot of that stuff?
They containerize all of the garbage, but there seems to be an overflow of Amazon stuff. So I call it the Amazon fallout.
Okay. Your building has the.
It's just they tried to put a fence around it, but it's not really contained. So they just kind of pile it up so that that's right there in the area where the big things are. And I forgot what you call them, big things that they throw the garbage in, but they okay with that, putting the garbage in that, but just those damn Amazon boxes.
Are these, this is, when you say they, you talking about the residents of the building just take?
No, I'm talking about the maintenance. I'm talking about the super.
Well, that's something that, Steve, I know that, wasn't there an attempt to talk to the Tracy Towers management about kind of like managing that a little better? I don't know.
I mean, if somebody have a suggestion, tell me, because I can go beat them over the head with it, but I need a suggestion.
Yeah,
Do they have a sorry.
I'm sorry,
But
guys.
they don't have a compost. They don't compost anything.
No, not compost, a compactor. Where I work at in Brooklyn,
Mhm.
in one of in the recycling room, they have this big machine where they just put all the cardboard stuff in it, and it just compacts it down, and then it does a twist tie type of thing on it.
Wow.
They don't have that, but now that you say it, at least I know something to ask for.
If you remind me persistently, I could, take a picture of it at work and send you the information.
Okay, to you, I will. I'll get back to you on that. Thank you for that.
Someone has, I'm sorry, I'm hearing like some blowback, some feedback. Can you mute yourselves if you're not? I'm not sure who that is. Okay, still on. Okay, okay, good. That's a great idea. Steve, is there anything you wanted to comment on?
Yeah, I know that there's been some back and forth with Tracy Towers. I could get an update. They were working with our collection office, I believe. So if a building does express interest in converting to containerized collection, we provide them with all the information that they need, and we even go out there, we do a site visit as well. And we give them our expert opinion as to placement of the container, and we do a survey letting them know, based on the amount of residents that are in the building, how much waste is actually gonna be serviced weekly. So we make sure that they have enough equipment. So I'll get an update for you. I'll let you know what's going on with that.
All right.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay, so moving right along really quickly, so we have increase, so we'll somehow, so we have the Rat Academy. So I'm just going to write right here, Rat Academy trainings. So do we need to keep funding to educate the community controlling? I mean, I don't know what kind of program we can talk about, but we do have the Rat Academy trainings for now. If I find something similar, something in the request, I'll put it in. If not, I'm just gonna take it out and say that we have Rat Academy trainings. Increase sanitation budget to have more enforcement. Yes, I want to keep this in there. So this is an expense item. We need an increase to the budget because we need more enforcement officers to both issue violations and educate the public on trash maintenance, cleanliness, etc. Is that okay? You good with that?
Yeah, I'm fine with it too.
Okay. Now we had this animal welfare, increased ACC budget for more staff to work at ACC shelter facilities. That is a DOH piece. I'll take it up with Michelle. I've had conversation, just so you know, I actually met with the director of the mayor's office on animal welfare. It doesn't oversee ACC, which is the animal care and control, or they call it animal care and control. But I discussed a lot of issues with them about the cat population and how we can help rescuers in the neighborhoods throughout the city. And it's a big deal because a lot of it falls on the issue of having enough vets to do a lot of the work that needs to be done, which is spay neuter. So I'm going to push this back to, this is going to be a DOH piece. And I will discuss it and share it with Michelle.
Betty, can I just say one thing though? I think we need to ask for an animal shelter in the Bronx.
We know that. We know that. The shelter in the Bronx has to be, I did discuss that with, I'm sorry, I'm hearing like, is it me? No, I'm just gonna mute myself. No, it's not me. Someone needs to mute themselves because it's becoming,
Gwen, you might want to check your, audio.
Yes.
everybody, Gwen, could you mute yourself? Okay, I muted her. I muted everybody, I think, right? Oops. Okay. Everyone can unmute themselves. Am I muted too? Let me just check. Hold on a second.
No, you're not muted. You're
Oh,
okay.
yeah, okay, good. Okay, so it was Gwen. All right, yeah, so Helene, just to your whole issue, I brought that up, that they still have not started breaking ground on the Bronx ACC shelter. They said they may start in 2023, 2024.
Okay, I thought that, I didn't know it was still in the works. That's
Oh, yeah,
great.
no,
Okay,
it was approved. It had to go through a lot of hurdles with community
Right.
Board 10. but it was approved. But we need to push on it because DOH will always, we had some issues. I discussed that. I said, if anything, ACC should come out from under DOH.
Mhm.
But it may not happen because DOH is more focused on the health of humans in relationship to animals and not on the needs of the animals themselves,
Okay,
which is
all right.
understandable. You know, it needs to have its own, it should be either under this Office of Animal Welfare or someplace else. So, you know, that's something we'll need to discuss, but I will definitely ask Michelle to put this in and also to move on getting the Bronx facility. Let me just change.
Up and running.
Yeah, well, built, first of all, you know, let's get it built first, you know.
Yeah, I know the community was not that happy about it. I was
But it was
surprised.
fine, but it passed because they got a, like everything else, it was a trade-off.
Right, they want to see the housing, yeah.
No, they wanted, not senior housing, a youth center or something, so they have another area that can go in, so,
Everyone's happy.
yeah, we'll see what happens. And also, this new facility will also be an education center, so that schools and students will be able to visit and learn about, you know, animal welfare issues, how to take care of animals and what have you. So that was also the draw somewhat. So,
Vet tech training, maybe.
yeah, something like that. Yeah. So, you
Do
know,
you know what area they were trying to focus on to
yeah,
put it?
it's, you know, Bay Plaza. In the Bay Plaza, there's a piece of city property there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that'll work.
Well, they said, oh, but we don't have animals, you know, yes, people are allowed now to have, I think, small pets in Co-op City.
Oh, good.
I
They
think
had them in there before, they just kept it
I know,
quiet.
but no, officially, I know, I think they're allowed to have them or whatever, cats and dogs or whatever the case may be. And so, you know, it's a piece there. What's really good about it, there's a lot of parking. You know, the only issue is that it's not the greatest for public public transportation, but they're, you know, they've increased bus routes to that whole area. That's where they have that big mall.
It's far though, yeah.
You know, that big mall there that they have now. So it's,
Yeah,
you
but
know,
doesn't the 28 bus go over there?
the 28, there's a 30, there's a whole bunch of things that go there. But you know, if you're coming with an animal and you need to take it in or you're adopting, you probably need like a car or something like that. So, you know.
No, I get that part because I've had to go into Manhattan to get service, you know,
I
for an
understand.
animal
I
problem.
understand.
And we have nothing in the Bronx. And all these years later, we don't have any facility in the Bronx.
We do. We have the ASPCA has a what's called the Bronx Veterinary Clinic for low-income pet owners. It's on 161st Street off of 3rd Avenue. And they do, but they have a waiting list for people to get in, and they do low cost, not spay neuter, they do low cost pet, you know, issues related to animals, you know, emergencies, injuries, stuff like that, you know, wellness care and stuff. But we don't have, this is not going to be, I'm not sure if this is also going to be like that. I'm not really sure. I have to check and see. The one in Manhattan really doesn't do anything except where you can bring in and surrender an animal or go to adopt an animal, you know, but other than that, I think it's going to try to expand its services, but we'll see. So I'm going to put that, ensure that the Bronx ACC facility is up.
Full service.
And this will be a full service. This is
Right.
totally full service, yeah. Is built within a timely manner, and I'll just put that, I mean, I'll just work this, I just want to write something down. I believe that they said it was, they're gonna start breaking down 23, 24. Okay. So, two more things. Add a civilian position at each precinct to investigate animal cruelty complaints, therefore bring up, okay, this will have to go under, this is public safety. So I'll share this with the chairs of those committees. Okay, I don't know what, I'll have to look for the appropriate category. Provide funding for 10 monthly spay neuter. Yeah, this I'm gonna take out because this is where I spoke to Alex Silver, who's the director of that office of animal welfare. And I want to bring this to this is something that our council people can do. Because a lot of the council people do fund the mobile clinics, usually the Toby Clinic and sometimes ACC's clinics for spay neuter. So I'm going to bring, this is going to be I'm going to take this out and put this under city council. Okay,
Sounds good.
this is not something that needs to be here. I mean, I'd love to see this, put set in stone, but it's not going to happen. But at least if I can get some of the city council people to provide some of the mobile clinics. Again, the issue is vet care. That's the big issue. So it's not something that we can done. Okay, is there anything else anyone can think of that you'd like to see put into the budget at all? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Going once, going twice, and I'm gonna check and see anybody else. Okay. All right, and I will follow up with what I see in the chat separately because it's a lot and we're getting close to 9 o'clock and I need to close out the meeting. Is there anything else? I think this is good. I'm glad that we went through this. Want to thank everyone. Again, is there anything that anyone to bring up at this point? I'm going to stop sharing the screen and I'll take it up. Okay, anything anyone wants to bring up? Our next meeting is supposed to be November 1st. I'm still debating. I would like to move to holding our meetings every other month. I don't think we need to have, unless there is something really critical that needs to be addressed. How do people feel about that?
I think that would work, Betty, unless we have something critical, it has to be talked about right here and there.
Right.
Because we don't know if we're going to go back to meeting in person. We're still searching for places to hold meetings. So every other month will work.
Yeah,
In my opinion.
I agree. Anybody else have any concerns about that, issues with that?
There's a comment in the chat.
Yeah, I understand that, AJ, but that's, we don't need to have that because we have the community board office and you can always email me directly. And I'll put my email again. I put it in there and I do respond to email. So if you have a concern, there's no need, there's nothing that says that we have to meet every month. If issues need to be addressed, you can bring them to you can always come to the general board meeting, which has to be held. And so if you want to do that, you can always bring it to the general board meeting, the attention to the general board meeting. The committee meeting doesn't have to happen every month. There's nothing in the charter, there's nothing in our bylaws that say we have to have monthly meetings all the time. And so I'm going to move that we consider that. That's nothing that requires a motion or anything like that. I'll bring it up at the exec session and say that I think some of the other committees are considering the same thing. And a lot of it has to do with attendance. So again, any issue that can be brought up, it can be brought up at the general meeting. Okay. So with that said, I want to thank everyone. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, one other question. It's just a random one. I guess it's addressed more to Stephen. Are there any plans to try out those underground not garbage cans?
The containers, those containers.
Yes.
Yeah, like the one that they have in Amsterdam.
I love those videos, so I'm sorry, I just needed to ask. Yeah.
I love it.
Sure. Like I said, we're running containerized pilots throughout the city, none of which I believe are going to be the underground storage of the garbage. As of right now, it's all above ground containers, but it's a step in the right direction. So we'll see what happens in the future. But I've seen some of those videos too on like Instagram, and I'm like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, if we ever get them in the city, let me know, because I might actually take a trip just to see it.
Okay, definitely will do, for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. That's just to explain that there are places where the people come, there's like a bin on the sidewalk, and then they throw their garbage, but it goes into a container that's underground. And then on a weekly basis or whatever, there's a special truck that comes and lifts it all out and throws it into the back of the truck and puts it right back down. So that would be awesome. But I don't know if our
I've
street.
seen that also. I'm not sure where I saw it at. but
I sent a video of.
Yes, and I saw that
Amsterdam-
video.
in
Thank you.
Amsterdam,
Because yes,
yeah,
I've seen that. That would be awesome.
that would be.
And I'm with Hugo. When y'all start that one, let me know. I'm going with you, Hugo.
Okay,
Yep.
so thank you, everyone. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second?
Second,
Thank
second.
you very much, everyone. Thank you so much. This has been great. Thank you, and we're just about on time. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Effie. We'll follow up with both of you on any of the materials, links that we discussed today. And
Sure.
I'll definitely make sure that Jean gets some information that she needed on the e-waste collection program for her building. And I've written that down. So, and I will, this is being recorded, so I will be able to, and I've asked that the recording include the chat. We go on YouTube, but the YouTube video doesn't include the chat information. So I've asked the staff that I want a copy of, this will go on YouTube without the chat. That's the requirement. But I've asked for the copy of the recording with the chat so I can follow up with some of the things that were mentioned in the chat, okay? All right, folks, thank you. Have a safe evening, a good week. And I'll see you, some of you board members at our other meetings in the month. Take care all. I'm
Good
going
night,
to,
all.
yeah, I'm going to.
Have a good evening.
No.